Before you sign a loan agreement, you're usually told one simple story. A mortgage is good debt, and a credit card is bad debt. Put your loans into the right bucket, and you'll be financially responsible. We instinctively categorize our debt based entirely on what we bought with the money. A house feels like a responsible investment. A college degree sounds smart. A vacation or a shopping spree feels reckless. Relying on those categories feels safe. But judging a loan by the physical purchase is the exact blind spot causing millions of people to quietly drain their net worth without even realizing it. The physical item you buy has absolutely zero bearing on whether a debt makes you richer or poorer. Relying on societal labels to manage your money is a dangerous illusion. Every loan works exactly the same way. Someone hands you capital today, and you promise to pay it back tomorrow, with a fee attached. The labels might change, but the math doesn't. A 30-year mortgage, a student loan, and a high-limit credit card all operate on this exact same underlying mechanism. Debt doesn't have a moral compass. It isn't your friend, and it isn't your enemy. It is simply a neutral mathematical lever. What actually dictates wealth creation isn't what you bought, it's the interest rate. This chart maps out a concept we can call the invisible line. The flat horizontal line represents your expected investment return, the yield your money could reasonably earn if you put it to work somewhere else. The fluctuating line crossing over it is your loan's interest rate. When your loan's interest rate sits above that flat line, the debt becomes incredibly expensive. You are guaranteeing yourself a compounding loss on your capital every single year that balance exists. But look what happens when the situation is flipped and your interest rate drops below the line. Now your capital is working harder in the market than the debt is actually costing you. Identifying exactly where your capital sits relative to this single invisible line is the entire game of personal finance. This side-by-side chart shows exactly how this math plays out in the real world. Let's start with Jake. He budgets carefully and never misses a payment, but he carries an $8,000 credit card balance at a 21.5% interest rate. Because of that rate, nearly $150 evaporates every month before a single cent reduces what he actually owes. By making modest monthly payments over 6 years, he will spend more than $6,000 on interest alone. Notice that nothing dramatic happens here. There's no financial collapse, no sudden emergency, just thousands of dollars quietly flowing to the bank year after year. Now look at this second graph plotting Brian's situation. He holds a large 30-year mortgage at 6.5%. But he refuses to carry expensive debt anywhere else, choosing instead to invest his excess cash in the market. If Brian consistently invests $500 a month at a roughly 10% annual return over several decades, the results are astronomical. Time does the heavy lifting, expanding the spread between his low-cost debt and his investments into massive wealth. The massive divergence in their lives has nothing to do with their income levels. It has nothing to do with their personal discipline. Both men make their payments, and both men have debt. By keeping low-cost debt and simultaneously investing, Brian ends up significantly wealthier over time than if he had fought to become completely debt-free. This rule is completely universal. It's the exact reason wealthy investors often utilize a strategy known as buy, borrow, die to grow massive fortunes. Instead of selling appreciating assets and paying heavy taxes, they borrow capital against those assets at relatively low interest rates. This provides them with spending money while their core investments continue compounding undisturbed. There is no magic trick involved. Borrowing cheap capital to let other investments grow relies on the exact same mathematical principles as Brian's mortgage. It is the invisible line applied on a much larger scale. The ultra-wealthy are not operating under secret financial laws. They are simply making capital allocation decisions based entirely on interest rates rather than societal labels. Every dollar you send toward a high-interest credit card balance acts as a direct investment in your net worth. Paying off a 21.5% credit card is mathematically identical to discovering a risk-free stock market investment that guarantees a 21.5% return, completely tax-free. Institutional investors spend their entire lives searching for guaranteed high yields. Yet millions of people ignore an identical opportunity sitting right there on their monthly statements. Taking control of this math requires one immediate, tactical step. List out every single personal debt you carry and write the interest rate next to each one. Then rank them strictly from highest to lowest. Aggressively target the debts sitting highest above the invisible line. Funnel your extra cash into those expensive balances to lock in those massive guaranteed returns as quickly as possible. There is only one major exception to this rule. If your employer offers a retirement contribution match, take it first. Securing an immediate 50% return on your money supersedes any debt payoff strategy. Debt is a lever. Aim it above the line and it quietly bleeds you dry year after year. Aim it below the line and it helps build fortunes. The only difference is knowing your numbers.